This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Live tonight from the virtual Pocono Raceway here. We are set and ready to go racing. 85 laps on the board here tonight with the Ricmotech Cup Series here. The second race of the chase after we had 1 week off for the holiday. We are back set up and ready to go here tonight at Pocono. The tricky triangle where every corner's a little bit different than the last. And we are all pretty much wrapped up here for qualifying tonight. And we're going to be getting ready to get down onto the grid. Thank you for tuning in live on LSR TV on the iRacing Esports Network. It's going to be Hugo behind the screen pushing all the buttons with Steve Bonesteel up in the booth here with 20 drivers getting ready to hop down onto the grid to put on a great show here tonight. Talking about the track, it's 2.5 miles. There are 3 different distinct corners like I talked about. The new package makes this track very interesting. You're going full throttle a good portion of the race, and as tires start to wear, you start to get loose, especially in 2 and 3 where there's not a lot of banking, and then you get into 1 and 2 and there's a ton of banking there. But the drivers are hopping down onto the grid behind the Ford First Mustang pace car. It's going to be David Weishart leading them down to the green, followed by Travis Pryor in the number 81 machine. Scott Liss Rambler will be right behind him in the number 57, starting third, followed by Bryce Senesac in the 09 machine in fourth. Rounding out the top 5, Adam Eisenhower, followed by Tyler Holman, then Alan Fox and Michael Mueller. Going a little bit further back to the number 29 machine of Rob Haynes, he's going to be starting there in 9th, followed by Ed Morris to round out the top 10. Right outside the top 10 is David Elliott in the number 42 machine and Nick Hunt to his outside. And then in the next row, we've got Darren Clement and Jerry Glenn, and then Tommy Haynes, Gary May. And looking a little bit further back, about a second off of the pole position time, it's going to be Bobby Tinch, Randy Perdue, John Sterling in the number 3 machine starting in 19th, and then rounding out the qualified drivers will be Jay Pryor in the number 80 machine, our last qualifier on the night. And with that in mind, everyone's down there on pit road. They're all lined up, thinking about their strategies here tonight. Of course, we're going to see more pit stops than we normally would here. We do run half fuel tanks, so that means probably 2 or 3 different stops if we stay green. I imagine I want to say around 18 to 21 laps, depending on where you're at here, is when you're going to be bringing it down pit road. And it looks like these drivers here all have different strategies, but with the new package, drafting very important here. You've got to stay in a group. If you come down pit road all alone, even with the tire delta, you could find yourself in a little bit of trouble there trying to catch up. So with all of that in mind, we've got 20 drivers getting ready to think about what they need to do to either rebound or stay consistent after last week's race at Atlanta Motor Speedway. We had quite the experience there at Atlanta. 2-3 different lanes, a lot of slipping, a lot of sliding, and now here tonight we're going to see probably 1 or 2 lanes, definitely not 3 or 4. And it's going to be Rob Haynes in the number 29 machine, tied for the first spot right now in the chase with Michael R. Mueller, and then Alan Fox, David Weishart, Ed Morris. That's your top 5 in points. So we're going to be watching all of those drivers here this afternoon very carefully to see who makes their way up through the field and then who struggles here tonight at the Tricky Triangle. It's not an easy track, and it's going to be a tough one if you get yourself in trouble early on. You can't afford to get any damage here as they roll down the straightaway here, getting ready. We're about a minute out from catching the green for the second race of the chase. And this corner right here, turn 2, this is the one I was talking about. Full throttle here for the most part of the green flag race laps there. If you don't make the proper entry, you get tight, you find yourself into the outside wall. So very important to make sure you follow a clean and consistent line as you make your way into that corner, because it sets you up for another straightaway. And then same with turn 3 and 4. If you don't make your corner just right here, you've got the long front straightaway to suffer, and you'll be 2, 3, 4 miles an hour slower, and that adds up down the straightaway. And now with the pace car pulling down pit road, green flag is in the air for race number 2 of the Ricmotech Cup Series chase. David Weishart on the inside gets a nice little gap there, going down into turn 1 for the first time tonight. 85 laps on the board as they dive off side by side. Right behind him, Travis Pryor, Scottless Rambler, side by side. And it looks like it's going to stay that way, and now down the straightaway, the draft is going to come into play. You see the 33, he drives it down the inside, tries to break the draft, but honestly, it might have slowed him down more than anything. Now going into turn 2, on the loud pedal all the way there, Scottless Rambler concedes to the driver on the outside. Travis Pryor clears him, and just like that, almost all 20 cars have gone single file in just half of a lap. And then coming out of turn 3 for the first time on the night, looks like David Weishart's going to have a nice run. Travis Pryor got a little aero tight behind him, and now Scottless Rambler gives him the shove down the straightaway. And now they're side by side. Pryor on the outside going through 1. And Pryor, he's going to have a little bit of advantage over Rambler without having the aero tightness there. You see Rambler has to check up. And now Pryor's got the run on the outside. He's going to be trying to go side by side with Weishart here coming into the short chute. He's to his outside, and Rambler looks to his inside, and he's not able to get clear and make the move on Weishart, and they go back single file just like that. And as that goes on in the front, I'm taking a look right now. I've got a couple of drivers side by side. Michael Mueller, he's side by side with Tyler Holman there. That's going to be for the 5th and 6th position. And it looks like the 27 machine of Mueller's going to drop in behind Holman and then try to save his tires for a little bit later there, as Weishart does lead the 2nd lap here. And Travis Pryor not able to make that move on him. And the entire field, all 20 drivers, actually 22 drivers, are single file. We had 2 drivers that did not qualify, Richie Evans and Mike Rominger, the 8 and the 9 machine. They are going to be at the tail end of the pack. They did not qualify. And it's still single file throughout most of the field. David Weishart's trying to break away, trying to use the draft. And that last lap, he had a pretty good gap forming there on Pryor, and he's continuing to pull away down the front straightaway. And one thing I'll say is that you really wear your tire out when you're the right front. That right front tire gets wore out quick. When you're tucked in behind someone, you've got to put a lot of extra wheel into it, and it's tough. You burn that tire up. So that aero tightness, not only does it affect you in the moment, but it affects you in the long run as well. So you've got to do the best you can to make sure you keep those tires cool as long as possible here, as we're still single file. Looks like Michael Mueller in the number 27 machine does make the move on the number 52 of Tyler Holman, and that's going to move him up now into the 6th position now, getting ready to head down the front straightaway. They're already a second off their qualifying times here, and we're only 2, 3, 4 laps in, and it happens so quickly here. The tires get wore out. I'm taking a look right now. The number 29 machine, Rob Haynes, he's on the inside battling with Alan Fox to his outside, and that's going to be there trying to break into the top 10 and stay in the top 10. And he's not giving up, down on the inside. He's trying to get a little bit of a draft from the number 7 machine of Ed Morris, and does not look like that's going to happen. And then Alan Fox gets back in front of the number 29 machine going into turn 2. As I look through the rest of the field, I'm taking a look at driver number 17 machine of Tommy Haynes. He's trying to catch up to Darren Clement there. Darren seems to be struggling a little bit in one, and then it looks like the 17 machine of Tommy Haynes, he's a little bit faster there in turns 2 and 3, and that's going to be setting him up to hopefully make a move there for himself on trying to pass the number 32 machine as they are closing in on Jerry Glenn and that number 98 machine, and just like that you get a big stack up, and then they all kind of slow back down and taking a look back up towards the front. David Weishart still in charge at the moment, but Travis Pryor and Scottless Rambler, actually they closed in on him about quarter of a second that last time around, and now they're going to have a significant better chance with a breakaway behind them. They've gone almost a second to Bryce Senesac, who's going to be the 4th car in line, and their next competition, as it looks like actually he's going to be getting passed by the likes, I think, of Adam Eisenhower in the number 86 machine. So Adam Eisenhower on the move. He started in 5th, fell back a couple spots, and now he's back up to 4th. And right now, taking a look, still watching our leaders. You see Weishart, he still keeps trying to dive it down to the inside, trying to break that draft just a little bit. And the number 33 machine, when he does that, it does seem to slow him down more than anything. And it's one of those things where I think with these cars, they're just so sensitive. Anything you do to them trying to move up and down the track can definitely do an impact to it. Joshua Gillen in the number 40 machine is going to be our 23rd car, and he is currently 5 laps down. Does not look like he's running. Looks like he's going to be starting and parking here tonight at Pocono Raceway. Not sure what the reason is, but as the camera pans around here, taking a look down the front straightaway, we've got all of the lead lap cars, all 22 of them in the camera shot. 8 seconds separates the leader from the last car on the lead lap, and they're getting so spread out so quickly here. This track is definitely a track position track, so if you get a short run and have the opportunity, take 2 tires and pick up 5 to 10 spots, and that makes a huge difference here at Pocono. As the top 3, they still have their nice little breakaway at the moment. Adam Eisenhower in the number 86 machine, he's clear of any aero push he'd be getting from anyone in front of him, so it looks like he's actually starting to make a little bit of headway and slowly start closing in on our leaders. It looks like that time by, he might have even been the fastest car on the track. And while we have ourselves a breakaway up at the front of the field, I'm looking back, watching Rob Haynes battling with Bryce Senesac. Ed Morris is in that group. Those drivers back there, that is a group of cars. They're stacked up. They're going double file right now. Nick Hunt trying to move up through the field. He started in 12th, and now he's trying to pick up a couple spots. He's on the inside of Tyler Holman, who's been on the fall back so far this race. And it looks like Nick Hunt's going to be able to get by him. And now Alan Fox on the outside of the 42 machine. And David Elliott, another driver that looks to be on the move here. And now Bryce Senesac's got a mirror of the number 29 machine right behind him. Rob Haynes trying to make his way. Of course, he's one of the drivers racing for points in the chase here. So every single position that Haynes makes up in the number 29 machine going to be very important for him here this afternoon. As it looks now, Rob Haynes looking down to the inside of Senesac, not able to quite get there, and he's going to go back in line and try it again, set him back up for the move. And now here comes Haynes once again down to the inside of Senesac. They're side by side in turn 3, and it looks like the 09 machine is going to be letting him by without too much of a fight. And Rob Haynes moved that number 29 machine up another spot. He's going to be now in the 7th position here as Ed Morris. And just that lap or so, the 2 laps they were battling, He got a nice little breakaway, and now it looks like Haynes is going to have to chase him down before making any further headway. And then glancing up at the front of the field, we have a side-by-side battle between our second and third place drivers. Travis Pryor on the outside, and now Ramler makes the pass in the short chute there going into turn 2, and he's able to make the pass for second, and now he's going to be setting his sights for the leader. Yeah, that last time by, Scottless Ramler was looking fast, and he is moving. That last time by, he was actually faster than David Weishart, even with the pass. Pryor looks down to the inside. Looks like Pryor actually might have caught the wall in the number 81 machine. That might be what slowed him down there in that second spot. Oh, Adam Eisenhower in the number 86 machine. He just caught the wall on entry, and it looks like now both Pryor and Eisenhower have similar damage, as they're going to have to get their cars back under control. As I look back a little bit further, right now Bryce Senesac still struggling with the drivers around him, trying to make some headway. He got passed now by the 52 machine to Tyler Holman, and now moved Tyler up another spot as Holman is trying to close in on the 00 machine of Nick Hunt and pick up another spot. But right now Bryce Senesac falling through the field like no other. He started in 4th in that 09 machine, and now he's all the way back to 10th. We'll have to see what he can do there in the number 09 machine, if he's just saving his stuff or if he's having a hard time with handling at the moment. Of course, Pocono, like I talked about pre-race, is a tough track all the way around the block. So if you get yourself a little bit worn out tires, it is not fun. This track is not forgiving like some of the smaller 1.5 miles. You know, you can beat the tires up, you can calm them back down, but here at Pocono, hot surface here today, lots of grip with the new pavement, and with this new package, you just can't give anything up. So Bryce Senesac pulling whatever strategy he is, or maybe struggling with a slow car. We'll have to keep our eyes on it. And back up towards the inside the top 5, it looks like Travis Pryor and Adam Eisenhower are getting ready to go at it, and they've lost another second on David Weishart, the leader. As actually, yeah, Michael Mueller, he's made a little bit of headway there, and he's right outside the back bumper of the number 86 machine. That number 27 machine setting his sights on the 2 damaged cars right in front of him. Neither one of them have significant damage, but here, like I talked about, you get the slightest bit, it slows you down a mile an hour or two, and when you're driving down these very long straightaways, that mile an hour definitely adds up, and then you almost get yourself in more trouble because your car's going to start pushing, and it's going to get harder and harder to make these hard left turns, especially in the corners that require a lot of downforce without a lot of banking. If your car's struggling, you're in a lot of trouble, because now they're almost 3.5 seconds back from our leader. And just a few minutes ago, both the 81 and the 86, they were only about 2 seconds back, so they've lost 1.5 seconds in just a couple of laps. And here now comes the number 27 of Mueller, looking to the outside of Eisenhower. Eisenhower's got the draft on the inside, using the side draft on Pryor. That's going to launch him ahead of him into the corner. He makes the pass, and now the 81 machine has to fend for himself in front of the 27 of Mueller. And then looking behind Mueller, not going to be in the camera shot, but Ed Morris in the number 7 machine is going to be trying to make some headway. Oh, is the 86 down all the way to the grass there, trying to hide, trying to hold off both the 81 and the 27 behind him. And Michael Mueller again to the inside of the number 81 machine, and he's going to have a nice push into turn 1 and 2, and it looks like he's going to try to get under number 86 as well. He only clears Pryor, but Pryor's got the run on the outside, so take that back. He doesn't clear him, and now they're going side by side down the back straightaway here. And we'll have to see, can the number 27 of Mueller, can he make it stick going into turn 2? Still side by side, down to the inside goes the number 27 machine. And they stay side by side with the 27 getting loose. Mueller not able to make the pass, and just like that, now Adam Eisenhower trying to sneak away. Damage, no damage, whatever. The number 86 machine is going to take whatever he can get to try to break away here, as finally the number 27 machine of Mueller does clear the number 81. And now continuing to look around the field, really, we got a lot of cars just going single file. Right now, the biggest mover is Nick Hunt in the number 00 machine. Within the top 10 at least, he's the biggest mover. He started in 12th, and now he's up to 7th, and he's trying to see if he can chase down the drivers up in front of him. Looks like Ed Morris is actually going to be the first driver with Alan Fox to bring it down pit road. So it looks like, yep, 17 laps on the money. So that, my original thought was probably not too far off there, as we've got a couple cars thinking about pitting, and that opens up the strategy for Weishart and Ramler. The guys up front, maybe Ramler comes down 1 lap early and saves that little bit of tire there to make up some of the time that he currently has lost. Right now, these guys are running 55-second laps, so that's 4 seconds off what we were running in qualifying. So significantly slower here. We'll have to see how these drivers navigate the traffic that's going to be faster, so that 7 primetime machine by Ed Morris, he's down on the inside of Senesac, coming down the front straightaway, looking down into 1. He makes the big old dive onto 4 fresh Goodyear tires, and he's going to be able to make the pass there. And looking right now with our leaders, neither one of them have opted to come down pit road yet, as we are 18 coming to 19 laps into the race. Time clicking off for these guys. They've got a limited amount of fuel, and I tell you what, you don't want to make the call wrong here at Pocono. If you do, you've got a very long lap to coast around, and unfortunately, I don't really think you're going to coast from turn 1 all the way around the field here. So it looks like some of these drivers are going to start thinking about it, but everyone's staying out at the moment. And probably, I really think if you're Scottless Rambler in that number 57 machine, you're 2 2.25 back from the leader. You've got another 2.25 behind you to Adam Eisenhower, the third driver. You've got the time to come down pit road, cost yourself 1 lap. Make sure you're going to make it on fuel in your strategy here. But I really would come down early to see if I can give Weishart a run for his money up in front of the field, rather than trying to chase him down in nowhere's land, where Scottless Rambler's running right now, and then continuing to look up and down through the field. It's pretty much the same story, still single file. Most of these guys taking a look just at the 10th position, David Elliott. That number 42 machine, he's lost a couple of spots after he moved up inside the top 10. Now he's just on the cusp with the number 17 machine of Tommy Haynes right behind him. That number 17 machine trying to get the draft, get up to the inside maybe of the 42, move him up out of line. He's got Bryce Senesac right in front of him, another driver that's been struggling here thus far at Pocono. So all these drivers trying to pull out the strategies, trying to figure out what they need to do. But here we are now 20 laps in. We've got 65, actually 66 left here at Pocono, so plenty of racing. Thanks everyone for tuning in live on LSR TV, live on the iRacing Esports Network. It's a good race here, the Ricmotech Cup Series, round number 2 of the chase at Pocono Raceway. We go to Darlington, the Lady in Black, next week. And boy, 2 tough tracks lined up right after each other here in the chase. These drivers got their hands full this year.
Now, Darlington, it's going to be pretty, not exactly chaotic, but definitely interesting with this long track that is Pocono compared to, like you mentioned, Darlington. It's an incredibly massive change for these drivers, so they're going to have to really be able to somehow, some way figure out what to do properly.
And that's been the tale of the tape this whole season there, Gary, as every single race is almost followed up by another track right after, where you've got to switch gears. It's big swings this season.
And somebody's trying to make big swings here. Is that battle between Tyler Hallman and Travis Pryor? We got Nick Hunt in the 00 directly in front of that. So Hallman made his way ahead of Pryor for the time being off of turn number 1, but at the moment with that exile for turn number 2, Hallman falls back into the clutches of Travis Pryor. For the time being, Hallman seems to just be able to hang on a little bit wide off the corner. I thought he hit the wall there for a second, but he just managed to avoid it. So back to single file. It was a little bit of a close battle almost between Pryor and Hallman, but right now it seems to be Hallman victorious for the time being in 7th.
Yeah, with the way that the track and the field spreads out here, everyone just gets single file so quickly. And this is another one of those tracks. I feel like I've said it almost every race this season, but I promise it's the tracks, it's not me. You get these tracks that every single week, they're tracks where if you battle side by side, it's going to slow you down significantly. And here at Pocono, same story. You go side by side with someone here, and it's going to hold you down almost sometimes a second per lap, even on fresh tires, is now David Weishart going to be bringing it down pit road here on lap 22. I suspect Scottless Rambler, Adam Eisenhower will be soon to follow, considering they're running almost 4 seconds slower than they were on qualifying trim.
And it's pretty much everybody now from the lead lap going down the pit lane. So looks to be 23 laps is the number. 22 to 23 laps will be that number. So definitely going to be possibly seeing a few more pit stops. But I'm sure everyone, this is pretty much crucial, and it's kind of a little bit of an advantage for some of these drivers with this really, really wide pit road. And that's another comparison, like you mentioned with the switching gears. Pocono has an insanely wide pit road. Darlington maybe has 2 lanes plus the pit stalls. So really a lot of different spacing to work with for pit road, and that can be crucial on the racetrack, especially with pit stops under green.
And currently watching these guys coming off pit road, it looks like David Weishart and Scottless Rambler. Looks like both drivers had perfect pit stops, absolutely picture perfect between the two of them. And Adam Eisenhower, he's actually going to be almost 2-3 seconds back off of his pit stop. So it'll be interesting to see how the field comes back together, if we get any rubber banding here on these fresh tires with the drafting package we have in these new cars. If these guys get back together pretty quickly, or if we stay spread out. I suspect if we stay spread out, this is going to be a very close to caution-free race unless we see something happen drastically. This new Pocono, when they repaved it and scanned it here on the iRacing surface, it changed how the cautions work. If you wreck and you're even remotely off the surface, there's no yellow for you. So it'll be interesting to see what we have to watch out for here.
Yeah, that yellow line on the inside lane is pretty much the zone where the cautions do not happen. So essentially pretty much anywhere below that dotted yellow line to the apron is a little bit of a safe zone as David Elliott goes to pit road, and the 10 of Gary May stays out for the time being. Looking through right now, looks to be, I'm seeing David Weishart a very ways away, a little bit from Scottless Rambler for the time being. Unfortunately, I don't really have the exact time as of right now, but other than that, looks to be a little bit of an advantage for Weishart because he's all in his lonesome. He's got the entire track to himself in his own little area that he's got.
Yeah, well, and as nice as it is here at this track to kind of be in nowhere's land, there's no damage in front of you, you're not getting held up, you don't really have to worry about the arrow push. This is a tough track when you're all on your lonesome because you don't have anyone in front of you to gauge where you need to slow down and gauge where you need to make your entry. So it'll be interesting to watch here today.
That's going to be the key thing, especially since, like you mentioned, sometimes that can definitely play into effect as John Sterling and Jerry Glenn both go to pit road. So this is possibly, more than likely going to give the lead to David Weishart. So he will definitely be of added advantage off of turn number 3. Yep, they both go to their pit stalls, and there it goes. Weishart back up into the lead, and Rambler up to second. So with Rambler, he's, in a sense, he may start to... After pit stops, he may start to try and slowly push the car just a little bit more. Maybe not, though, to conserve those tires because he can see that lead in his sights for now.
Yeah, and right now we've got John Sterling rolling off pit road with a little bit of help behind him and the machine behind him trying to come off pit road cleanly. These were the last two drivers, Jerry Glenn and John Sterling, so they're on their own strategy. I'm surprised they were able to make it 25 laps, to be honest with you, Gary. And they might be trying to stretch it. There's just no way this is going to be a two-stop race. there's going to be another 10 laps that these guys would have to account for. So they must have some type of maybe a sneaky short pit strategy plan, something like that, because otherwise there's really no reason to stretch it out that far.
Yeah, if they're going to go by that 25, if they're going to go by that 25 lap strategy, they're going to have to pit 3 times. So it's not exactly something that seems to be useful, but at the same time, it could play off in the long run if track conditions do play into a little bit of an advantage. But for the time being, as you see right now with these first few pit stops, that's not exactly going to be the case, as it looks like Tyler Hallman has set his sights on Bryce Senesac for P at number 8, but no movement down to the inside. Hallman is actually just going to stay behind that 09 and entering turn number 2.
But if you've just now tuned in, you've tuned in live to the Ricmotech Cup Series, ExtremeMotorsports99.com. We are here, race number 2 in the chase. We're here at Pocono this week. We go to Darlington next week. Last time around, we were at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So the first 3 races of the chase, each and every single one of them has their own little flair to them. And then here tonight at Pocono, every single corner a little bit different than the last. So these drivers here tonight are going to have to stay prepared for that because unfortunately, if you don't get one corner right, it's very hard to get the next corner right. It's a very rhythmic track. You've got to stay on your stuff. And right now, David Weishart's been on his so-called stuff tonight very well. 2.5 seconds up in front of Scottless Rambler in the 2nd position, followed by Adam Eisenhower in 3rd, Michael Mueller and Rob Haynes in 4th and 5th, respectively. And that's your top 5 right now. They're within 8 seconds of each other. And then after that, it's Alan Fox, Bryce Senesac, and everybody on back is going to be 12-plus seconds behind our leader at this time. So we are very spread out here at Pocono Raceway. What do you think, Gary? What's going to be the key to winning this race?
On this point, I'm starting to also think about that, because with this track, with the corners, you mess up one corner, you pretty much mess up your entire lap in general. So it's a little bit of an uphill battle if you do mess up a corner. So the strategy for this would just to be, at least after pit stops, play a little bit conservative, although keep somebody in your sights, but do something that Tyler Hallman is doing. Just last lap, he was actually directly behind the 09 of Senesac, and now he's got possibly about 3 or 4 car lengths between himself and that 09. So Hallman is playing a little bit of a, you know what, I'm going to save everything for now type of position, because right now it's going to be for 6th place if Hallman did decide to battle. But like you mentioned, if those two go side by side, that could give the advantage for somebody, say Travis Pryor. So, oh man, or at least exiting a corner like that, Hallman was really close off that corner.
Back in the day here on iRacing, we had, I would call it almost like a iRacing Hall of Fame, Jeff Ramsdell. He was known for taking all those screenshots and saying, hey, beat me at this track, see if you can get your car closer. And right there, Tyler Hallman was going for it. I don't even know if my sheet of paper here with my race notes could have fit between him and the wall. And another thing, Gary, that I'm watching right now is Bryce Senesac. I'm very intrigued on what strategy he's on. He's back up to 6th. He is getting passed by the 00 machine, but it almost looks like whatever he did that first run, saving tires and whatnot, it looks like it worked, because he came in pit road around 12th or 13th, I do believe, and now he's back up to 6th and 7th. So whatever that 09 machine's doing, he might not be blazing fast right now, but it seems to be working consistency-wise.
Yeah, he was about to make a pass on the 00, but he decided, well, you know what, is it really worth making a pass on a lap car, especially since that lap car just caught up to you and passed you. So, again, another smart move by the 09. So the 52 and the 09 are both kind of playing a little bit of conservative roles, especially like you mentioned with Senesac saving tires, and that was an example of him saving tires right there, not really risking the right sides just to pass a lap car.
Right, and that, again, that's another one of those key things I talked about, especially racing here at this track, as it looks like we're getting a little bit of cloud coverage here that'll bring a little more grip into the track. When you have these clouds, man, every season they try to fix it a little bit better here. In the newest season, the newest rollout of updates, iRacing's done a nice job changing up the dynamic weather, and now these tracks, they respond very realistically. It used to be you get a cloud over the track and all of a sudden get out your winter jackets because the track's gone. But now it's a much more smooth process. The sun comes back out, it takes a few laps. iRacing doing great things out here with the dynamic track surfaces. Could not ask for more. Best in the business here. And it looks like some of these drivers like Bryce Senesac taking advantage of every inch of it every single week. Every other week you'll see them choosing different lines, conserving tires, choosing a line that's cooler than the other, keep those tires conserved and keep them good at the end of the run. So that 09 machine, the reason I bring attention to him right now running where he is every week you got to watch him. He's so sneaky. He might not be up there racing in the top 5, but he's always there. So we'll keep our eyes on him here as we're still single file across the field, still filing our way out after the first round pit stops. We're 32 laps now, coming to 33 into it. We've got 85 total on the board here at Pocono. We've got at least 2 pit stops planned. And Gary, let's talk about pit road speeding penalties under green here. How painful are those?
Those are pretty painful, but not as painful as the 80 of Jay Pryor just scraping the wall off the corner, and then from literally out of nowhere, John Sterling comes by and passes both Alan Fox and Jay Pryor. So this is a really large battle essentially for P11, which in this case is not going to be P12 because Sterling is virtually gone. Tommy Haynes has a lane on the inside.
We're looking 3 wide.
He was. I'm pretty sure he was thinking about it, but he decided against it, which was a very smart move. There he goes now down to the inside. I was expecting 3 wide to happen, but he decided this is a 4-car battle for 12th place right now. It's just everybody together.
And this is exactly what we were talking about. I'd be willing to bet 1 or 2 of the drivers in this pack probably has 1 or 2 lap better tires. And the tire delta here, just between every lap. The first lap out, you're running, a 52.2, 52.3. The next lap after that, it's a 52.9. And then you do 1 or 2 more laps, and you're in the mid 53s. So the tires wear so dang quickly. And then now for Jay Pryor, with damage on the outside, that machine's going to be down on aerodynamic strength, which is going to hold him back like I was talking about earlier down the straightaway. So both the Pryor boys have some damage. Let's bring the cameras over to the number 81 machine of Travis Pryor, and let's see if he was able to get his damage repaired. He did get some earlier, and it looks like, the number 81 machine still has it. He wasn't able to sacrifice any time on pit road, and it looks like the number 81 machine as well as the 80 machine, both the Pryor guys have damage here, as right now Travis Pryor is trying to hold off David Elliott and the number 42 machine right behind him. We haven't missed a beat up at the front of the field. Don't worry, folks. David Weishart's 4 seconds ahead of Scottless Rambler. Adam Eisenhower 7 seconds back from the leader. And then Michael R. Mueller is almost 10 seconds back as we're going side by side here. Travis Pryor's got competition down to the inside. Here comes the 42 machine to his inside, trying to take that spot away, and they're going to battle for it as David Elliott wants it, and the 81's not going to give it to him, and he's in the wall.
Great save either way off of turn number 1. I think he just, he scraped it for sure. I thought he just missed it.
Oh, that wasn't a scrape, but that was a body slam.
Yeah, that was definitely a hit right there, and that's going to allow Darren Clement to get to the inside, slide up a little bit, and at least 2 feet or so, just separating the doors of those two. And there's another pass and then involving Pryor as well. Jerry Glenn and Jay Pryor, that was off in turn number 1 as well. So I'm pretty sure the person that got the worst end of this is Alan Fox. He was 3rd place in the points coming into this race, and now he's 15th on track. So compare that to Travis Pryor, who was 11th place coming into this race, and now he's P9 at the moment. So very opposite days for both of the, well, okay, maybe I spoke too soon because there goes Darren Clement down to the inside for P9. So it's fluctuating for Travis, but either way, very opposite days for both of those drivers.
Yeah, that first hit that Pryor had, Travis might have been able to recover from that one, but that one right there, that's going to be a 20, 30, 40 second. That's going to be a big repair down on pit road. So that number 81 machine better get the flex tape out because he's going to need it here. He's got competition right behind him. Darren Clement's trying to look down to his inside. He's going to make the big dive. And I tell you what, right now, as bad as this is, if there's going to be a caution, I think it's going to be between someone trying to pass these cars that have damage, and Travis Pryor very well could be one of them. That last one, that when he hit that wall there, that could have got him in a lot of trouble. That could have been our first yellow of the night, as we are coming to lap 37. We're almost to halfway, and David Weishart and that number 33 machine has led every single lap, and we're still side by side here for 9th position. Darren Clement trying to give it everything he's got. almost 3 wide with John Sterling there trying to get his nose into the mix. He's going to look to the outside on the back straightaway of the 32. He's not going to be able to get there. And now they're side by side going into turn 2. And the 32, big dive to the inside. And he's not going to be able to clear him. Pryor not giving an inch here as he really shouldn't. He's a chase driver. He can't give anything up. And John Sterling just sitting there watching, trying to find a place to stick his nose as they're still side by side through turn 3. Contact a little bit coming up off the corner.
Oh, I thought the 32 was going to get turned there for a second because he slid up a little bit into the right front, and that definitely rubbed for sure. I thought something bad was going to happen there, but somehow, some way, as the 32 just gets to the inside enough to stop John Sterling's momentum, he tags the 81 in turn 1 and drifting.
Oh, man, is he going to be able to save it?
No.
No, and Travis Pryor goes around.
Oh, no.
Oh, he gets
Jay Pryor.
by Jay Pryor.
Oh, no, and another one. I think that was the 9, Mike Rominger.
Oh, absolute calamity. And that's something that we didn't talk about here at Pocono with the new design of the track. If you bounce off that inside wall, you're going to find your way back into the racing line. And Travis Pryor, oh man, what a hit for him. His night is going to be over almost certainly there. Jay Pryor's already calling for the tow truck. Let's pull up the LSR TV replay and take a look at what happened there coming off turn 1.
Even I'm looking back at this. This was absolute insanity in a sense. The 3 enters the corner just fine, slides up a little bit, tags 81, and the 81 had it for about the first half of the corner. Great attempt at trying to save it, tags the wall, and then from literally with nowhere to go comes Jay Pryor T-boning Travis Pryor. Richie Evans gets a piece of the inside wall, and then Mike Rominger just absolutely nowhere to go. It's either the wall or the 80 machine, and I'm pretty sure it's a combination of both.
Yeah, it's just such a tough thing. Maybe we can even get an onboard with the number 80 machine. Maybe we can ring up the onboard, take a look at what it was looking like from the driver's point of view. But I can almost guarantee the biggest thing with that is it's just so dang hard when you're racing, especially on these corners with that inside wall. It's a little bit of a blind corner. If you hear your spotter say, hey, we got one slow in the center, okay, you're looking for it, you're double file already. You're going 160 off these corners with worn tires. It's hard to woe it down, and unfortunately there for the Pryor guys, they just met the end of the race pretty early here, unfortunately, for the both of them.
And Mike Rominger also got the end of the line penalty, and that's because he is completely down on power. I think his engine has gone out in turn 1. It has, so not exactly the exact same thing you mentioned with the fuel, but something similar, so that you don't have enough power to make it back. You are pretty much done for if you run out in turn 1. So unfortunately for Rominger, he'll have to park it here off of turn number 2 and request a tow.
Man, as we took a look at that onboard with Travis, and that is such a painful thing as a driver. I've been there where you go around the track, you get spun, you lock it down, you're sitting there, you're waiting, and then bam, you get hammered and you think you're clear, and then all of a sudden here they are and you're getting hammered again. And unfortunately for that, oh man, such a heartbreaking afternoon for Pryor after clipping the wall. Both the Pryor guys after clipping the wall, and unfortunately could not recover after that. But now we're down on pit road getting ready to come back on out as we pretty much have a race break here at halfway point.
It's pretty appropriate timing for sure, especially something that I just noticed is that Alan Fox is actually behind the pace car. I'm not exactly sure what had happened to him, but he's 19th now instead of 15th, so he definitely ran into some complications earlier on. He did just go pit road, however, so I'm interested to see what happened. I will actually look back on that. For the time being, currently under caution, just coming to the halfway point, and right now, well, off of pit road, it was pretty much David Weishar at first off Scott List Rambler, still a little bit in his home in second place, and then Adam Eisenhower up to third. Fourth, Rob Haynes. Fifth is Michael Mueller. So we got Senesac and Hallman in sixth and seventh. Those two are not leaving that position so far anytime soon. That's at this point, it's just home for those two drivers for sure. And coming across the start-finish line, lights will remain on for the time being, so might begin the one-to-go signal next time around, which will be pretty much the halfway point and the restart. So a little bit of strategic play here at work, especially for some of these guys, especially just after going to pit road. They had the first caution of the day at halfway, a little bit of an impromptu halfway break, and at this point gives drivers to recollect, a little bit of time to rest as well, but also to think what to do for this restart.
Well, this restart's going to be interesting because it puts us right at the point where we only... Oh, it's going to be close. Man, we can't... I don't think we're going to be able to make it on one stop from here. It would have been real close, but it's going to put us... If we go green on 42 or 43, and the next caution comes out, that'll be... Or the next pit stop would be around 77, 78. That's just... It's not going to happen. There's another 7-8 laps in there. And with the laps here at 2.5 miles there, Gary, there's just no way we're going to be able to stretch it. You'd have to have your car off for basically 4 or 5 laps.
Yeah, at that point, you're pretty much better off with just getting pushed around the racetrack at cruising speed. But although then again, some of these drivers can take advantage of this caution period and save a little bit of fuel if they want to. But I still don't think it'll be enough. We have 25 laps at least maximum from what we've seen by a couple other drivers, Gary May being one of them. He's up in 13th now, so I don't know. It's possible, but at this point, there's no way to make it to the end. You definitely need one more pit stop to make it to the end, at least from about, if I can probably do math off the top of my head, maybe lap 65, maybe lap 60.
Yeah, we'll have to see. This is going to open up for a number of strategies that are going to be possible here. So we'll have to watch everyone as it looks like Alan Fox still waiting to get his way by. There he goes. And this sets us up pretty nicely here as we're going to be going green pretty darn close to the halfway point.
Yeah, pretty much on the halfway point, I believe, as well. So it's going to definitely take a little bit of time for it to settle out. And I'm double checking to see what exactly happened with Alan Fox. I believe he actually went to pit road just before the caution came out. And yep, that's why he was stuck behind the pace car. So I was wondering what happened to him. Now I know.
Yeah, that'll happen to you here. But before we go green, let's take a look at the Ford Entertainment Group midway race break. As we have them all lined up, we've got David Weishart. He's going to be starting in first on this restart with Scott Liss Ramler to his outside, Adam Eisenhower, Rob Haynes, and Michael Mueller's your top 5. Bryce Senesac, Tyler Hallman, Darren Clement, John Sterling, and Jerry Glenn is your top 10. And just outside the top 10 is going to be David Elliott, Tommy Haynes, Gary May, Ed Morris, Bobby Tinch, Nick Hunt, Alan Fox. Those are going to be your lead lap cars. And then we've got a number of cars with damage and then otherwise. And Richie Evans in the 18th position. Travis Pryor, 1 lap down in 19th. I suspect his night's pretty much done. Mike Rominger, Jay Pryor, he's taking it behind the wall. Joshua Gillen and Randy Perdue, they are retired for the night. And that was a look at the FEG Midway Race Break. FEG PC has been serving the iRacing community with custom-built, affordable computers specifically built and tuned for iRacing. Your PC comes with everything preloaded that you need to get racing as soon as it hits your doorstep. So check it out, fegpc.net, and mention LSRTV10 to get your build quoted today. And with that in mind, the pace car is down and the green flag is out, and David Weishart is away here yet again at Pocono.
This is great for him, and immediately Ramler goes right down to the inside directly behind him. So does another driver behind him, Adam Eisenhower, and nearly everyone scrambling for position, almost 3 wide, and Adam Eisenhower nearly turned himself in the front portion of the 29th car of Rob Haynes, who was just there on the inside. Been an attempt to break the draft by David Weishart off of turn number 1, moving down. He moved down to the inside lane, and Scott Liss Ramler was just sticking with that number 33 machine all the way throughout that little diversion that Weishart tried to do. A little bit of a higher entry as well by Ramler, trying to get a little bit more speed than that, but unfortunately that may have been his downfall from that higher entry.
Yeah, and again, just like we saw on that first run, all these drivers going in and out and trying to break the draft. I I think it's just so comical there, Gary. As a driver myself, I always see other people doing it, and I have to tell them, hey, it's slowing you down. It does not help you as the leader to do that in this new package. With the way that this spoiler's set up, you're better off keeping yourself in a straight line, because what you actually do when you break that draft, you actually create a bigger wake than you would otherwise, and maybe the second car in line, that guy might get slowed down a little bit more, but the third, the fourth guy in line, they have a big draft wake that they fall into, and it just rubber bands everybody back up. And it's just, as a leader, it's a habit. We've done it for years, but now with this new package, you just don't have to.
Yeah, sometimes you can't, old habits die hard, as they say, so sometimes you just do what you have to do, and for the drivers that are following, it's a great job to stick with that draft as much as possible. It's kind of interesting as well to see that little bit of a train just following through, and then while we're pretty much single file up to, well, I was about to say 6th place, and right now it may up to be 9th place, because Tommy Haynes in the 17 is trying to get by the 3 of John Sterling on the inside. He's got help from Ed Morris. That 17 does, almost. That was going to be a little bit of a 3-wide move by that number 7, and that's just for about the top 10.
Yeah, there's a lot of racing going on mid-pack. With that first caution of the night, a lot of these guys starting to feel a little bit racier than they were originally, and a little bit more news coming out of pit road right now. Looks like Nick Hunt had several issues. They were trying to get that car restarted. Looks like they were able to get that machine down on pit road and get it back out there. Looks like he's going to be 2 or 3 laps down, but the 00 machine is back running, and he's good to go, but he's going to be back further back than he was. He was running near the top 10, and now he's looking to be in about 18th.
Even worse for that 00, I believe. Yeah, he's pretty much going to be up in the middle of absolutely nowhere, although just seeing a distant draft of the 73 in front of him, unfortunately, so it's going to take a while, but he can hopefully at least stick with what he's got right now and try and salvage at least something out of it, but may it not be the case for the time being, as it looks to be almost a move for 3rd place. So 29 Pete down to the inside, Haynes, but unfortunately for fortunately for Eisenhower, nothing really happened, and well, Haynes could not get to the inside in time.
Well, while that's happening up there, we've got a big battle for about 8th on back. Bryce Senesac, he's there. John Sterling on his outside. Ed Morris is in the mix, the number 98 machine, and Jerry Glenn's on the inside there. About 5-6 drivers all battling for these spots, trying to break into the top 10 right now. 47 laps into the race here at Pocono, and these guys just side by side. The 09 of Senesac trying to hold off Sterling on his outside, and now the 98 machine and Jerry Glenn's in the mix as well, and he's like, hey guys, I'm trying to get on through, and unfortunately for him, there's not enough racing surface here for him to do so, and big moves out of the number 17, and Tommy Haynes looking down to the inside of the number 7, side by side through turn 3, big dive, and then number 17 is going to almost get into the 7. Oh, they might have touched very gently there, Gary, as they come off the corner. The 7's got the run on the outside. Down the front, straight away they go.
It's pretty much go time for anybody and everybody, and it looks like with that draft that the 7 has from the 98 of Glenn, that will pull Ed Morris officially into 11th place just in time, especially for the start-finish line timing. And now, everyone from at number 3 of John Sterling all the way back to essentially 15th of Bobby Tinch, who's just at the end of the strain, all single file for the time being, just waiting for the right moment to really try and get back to the inside and make a little bit of a pass. And for Sterling, that may have been his downfall, because having those 2 tires on the apron, not exactly going to help out, and that shows right there, because he's got Senesac on his inside and a little bit of an advantage for the time being, but Senesac cannot make it on the inside. Great job by Sterling to keep it stable on the outside.
I tell you what here, Gary, this track is just so tough to pass, and man, they're losing so much time. Right now, they're running almost half of a second slower than the guys that are single file, and man, they're just battling the heck out of it. They're using their tires up. The 09's not giving an inch, and of course Jerry Glenn, nobody wants to give an inch, because track position, we've already learned here tonight, it means everything here at Pocono Raceway. So these guys not trying to give up anything. Still, it's about a second between our leaders. David Weishart and Scott Rammer behind him. Actually, let's turn our cameras up towards those leaders. Adam Eisenhower right now in that number 86 machine is starting to chase down our leaders. Actually, it looks like Rob Haynes in the number 29 machine actually just got around the number 86. Move Rob Haynes in the 29 FEG machine. That Ford Mustang is on his way to the front. He's 2 seconds back from the leader, but the last 3 laps, he's been the fastest car on the track, Gary.
It's great for that number 29, especially since being one of 3 Fords in this field out of, well, everyone else being Chevrolets. So quite interesting, but definitely the one to stand out. And so far it's working, especially if you're, I don't know, say Michael Mueller, who's actually on the inside of Adam Eisenhower. So it's now, if you're, maybe not. I may have spoken too soon because he just got his tires on the yellow line a little bit loose. And, well, it looks like actually Adam Eisenhower is just going to stay behind the 27 machine and just bump him down into turn 3 and not really make any moves. So that's actually another very smart decision, very smart move at saving. So as far as Rob Haynes goes, well, that time around he was 2/10 off of the leader, David Weishart. So that last lap that you mentioned was 3/10 faster essentially. He's definitely found some speed in that Ford.
Well, here at Pocono, I tell you what, finding speed is about all you can do here. You got to stay in that rhythm. You got to find your place to be. We're now coming 51 laps into this race almost. We've still got 1 pit stop on the board. There's so many questions to ask, and of course, with this being the first race after Atlanta was the first race of the chase. Of course, that doesn't mean a whole lot when all the racers, they've all got pretty close to equal points. And then you get that first race after the chase, and this is the real one where you say, okay, you know, at Atlanta, I struggled, whatever, and now we've got to pick it back up. But here at Pocono, it's not an easy track to just pick it back up and be fast at. And then next week's it's the same story at Darlington. You're either great at Darlington or you're awful. And even when you're great, that probably means you're hitting the wall a lot. So Gary, I've said it once, I'll say it again, this chase is just so challenging for these drivers in the Ricmotech High Performance Sim Racing Equipment Cup Series here this season. And you're going to catch these final races all live here on LSR TV on the iRacing Esports Network. But, it has been one heck of a show here tonight. You've seen the attrition that these drivers have to put into these machines to get their way through the field. You just can't take a break at any moment.
Now with Pocono, there's no such thing as a break because, well, you're going to be either, luckily, alone and in the middle of almost nowhere between 2 packs, say Scott Rambler. You're going to be lucky like David Weishart, who's still kind of slowing himself down and trying to break the draft. I can understand that, but he's 2 seconds ahead. He's got really no point to do that, but maybe he's just doing that for a little bit of a habit. But either way, you're pretty much either lucky being all the way up front in clean air, you're Scott Rambler, kind of in the middle between somebody, or you're somebody like pretty much, let's say, Tyler Hallman and Darren Clement, who are pretty much right next to each other, and you have the draft with somebody. So that's a little bit of a slight advantage, but at the same time, may it come back to bite you.
And it looks like, again, we've got some cloud coverage here on the racetrack. And let me tell you, as a driver, at least for me, when I see cloud cover, I love it. I eat it up. As soon as the clouds come up over the racetrack, I drive my car a little bit harder because there's a trade-off. Once you get those cooler track temps, you can drive those tires a little harder, rub those Goodyear Eagles as hard as you want, and it'll be about half as bad as it would have if you're in the sun. So if you're one of those drivers that's been saving and you want to make up a little bit of time, now is the time as the daylight goes away. It's about 5 o'clock here in the sim, so that means slowly but surely we're going to get a little bit less sun on the track. So these guys are going to be running these cars, these A-class cars, as hard as they can. And right now, David Elliott in that machine that he's running back there, oh man, it's just such a tough race for these guys. As I'm watching a number of drivers, Adam Eisenhower almost caught the wall, David Elliott almost caught the wall. These drivers are doing the best they can to keep it straight, but we're running out of time. This next round of pit stops is about 10-15 laps away, and we'll have to see what these drivers decide to do. I'm looking around the field, and it looks like there's only a couple of drivers that have damage. But man, if you get damage, it's going to be impossible to fix it during green flag pit stop. You give me a caution or two, okay, I can probably fix a little bit of damage, but under green flag, you just can't give up 3 or 4 seconds.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way to give up those 3 seconds whatsoever, or any type of seconds after all. I was watching the battle between, not exactly battle, but close contact almost between Tommy Haynes and Bryce Senesac. They were definitely close to making contact in turn 1, but however, Senesac set his sights on that number 00 machine of Nick Hunt. He's actually a lap car. I forgot he was a lap down, unfortunately, so that's going to be Senesac's downfall to Tommy Haynes, who makes his way to the inside, so trying to make that stick, but it seems that upper lane a little bit there in turns 3 and 4. Senesac gets really close, almost a foot, maybe 2 feet between those two cars. That outside lane, that upper lane, just a little bit in turn 3 seems to be the advantage for pretty much anybody who's defending or just trying to make a little bit of a run.
Tommy Haynes, this has been where the battles have been at all race long, right toward this end of the top 10. Bryce Senesac in that 09 machine has been trying to hold off the 17 for quite some time, and now the 42 at David Elliott. I was watching him a few laps ago. Man, he almost clipped that outside wall, and he's still in the mix trying to get up around these guys. But at the moment, looks like the number 42, as the sun's already back out, looks like he's kind of just stranded where he's at.
Yeah, being stranded here at Pocono is not exactly the best thing to have, as stated multiple times, but it's either, again, in the middle of nowhere, or you're just barely luckily in the draft of somebody, but you can't really make any moves at risk of pretty much tires in general, so it's definitely a little bit of a waiting game. You have to wait until the next round of pit stops, which it should be coming up in a minimum 3 laps, but at the same time, also a maximum of maybe 8 laps at lap 65. But right now for Mueller, he's done waiting. He's definitely deciding to make a move down to the inside lane for 3rd place off of entering turn number 2, actually, I should say, as Rob Haynes just gives him the position, crosses over, gets a piece of the apron, and he'll try almost make his way to the inside, but definitely decided against it. I thought he was going to get a little bit loose and maybe fall back, but definitely very lucky to keep that momentum into that 29. It looks like for the time being they might be able to catch up to Scott List Rambler, but at the same time I'm not sure, especially since they might keep going side by side if Haynes can catch back up. But with that exit of turn 1 being better for that 27 of Mueller, I think Mueller may have 2nd place a little bit in the sights for the time being. Looks like Senesac for 11th place is falling back as well on the inside lane off of turn number 1. It's just everybody going all over the place here, and it goes back to that battle. Just around the 11th place is pretty much everybody being surrounded by everyone else. Gary May looks up to the top side, can't really get anything done for the time being, but he does prevent Senesac from using that outside lane up against the wall.
Senesac with that big old dive to the inside of Gary May. Now he's going to try to get that spot back from from David Elliott, but David Elliott's going to pull away as the number 10 machine. Gary May's back down on the inside, and it looks like he's going to be able to keep that line down into 1 and 2. So, he gives it back, so just like that, we're back single file here towards the end of the top 10.
A little bit of possibly mind games here, but you never really know because, well, almost 5 laps away from the final 20 laps. So again, pit stops might be coming soon, and we're just actually getting to the end of that as well. So I definitely wouldn't be surprised if anybody came down pit road in the next 2 or 3 laps, maybe even this time by. But right now, it's John Sterling using that top side again for position number 6. And they both have Adam Eisenhower in front. It looks like, I don't think Adam Eisenhower knows which way to go exactly. Like, who should I give this draft to? Looks like it'll be John Sterling who gets the momentum off of turn number 3, and Hallman falls back behind.
And looking through the field, we're still not missing anything up at the front. David Weishart's doing a great job, 4 seconds ahead of Rambler. Michael Mueller, Rob Haynes right behind him. Then to round out the top 5s, Adam Eisenhower And then from there, we start to get a little more action in the field from about 6th to 10th, or excuse me, 9th. We've got drivers within about a second of each other. But I tell you what, Gary, we are so spread out right now, and the magic number that we just hit right now with being on lap 60 coming to 61, it's been already confirmed. If we come down pit road at this point, we're good to go to the end. So I think that's going to mean some of these drivers can start thinking about that tire strategy and that fuel strategy. What do we want to do now to make it to the end?
For tire strategy, in a sense, I mean, if you want to, I'd say conserve, but possibly the best decision. Unless you somehow, some way know that you definitely have everything all set, you know how to control your car and really push it hard as hopefully when considered appropriate to do so. I'd say push the tires as much as you can, but not too much. So all in all, again, it just goes back to the save your tires a bit of a moniker, because at that point, you're probably going to be pretty much out of tires by the end of the race, and your right front or your right sides in general are pretty much gone by the end of the race, the end of the run as well. So at the moment, it's a little bit of waiting to see who decides to blink first off of turn number 3. Looks like, oh no, I was about to say everyone's going to possibly be going for that 25 lap, but no, Bryce Senesac goes to pit road, first one to blink from position 13. And looking back, yeah, he just managed to get to that 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. I was thinking, well, either you sped or you got a really quick entry, so that quick entry definitely did help out for sure, as passes are happening almost all around the racetrack, and that Senesac looks to be getting 4 tires and some fuel to get to the end. Now it's just a matter of who is next to go to pit road. And question answered, there goes Rambler to pit road. Directly behind him, same with Rob Haynes, Adam Eisenhower, 4, 5 cars, 6 cars of Jerry Glenn and David Elliott now. Then that comes out just behind David Weishart. As Steve is trying to fix out his technical issues with his microphone. Hopefully he can get that back up soon, and yeah, he's still got a few technical issues, unfortunately, so we'll definitely join in when he's got that fixed. But right now, this is pretty much the a bit of matter of the race, the key matter of the race as well. It looks like David Weishart finally blinks. He'll go to pit road, and if my predictions are correct, and I hope they are, it's going to be John Sterling. Nope, never mind. I was about to say John Sterling and pretty much everybody else go to pit road. Nope, Sterling stays out. Hallman goes to pit road. Ed Morris decides to stay out, and it looks like Steve has got everything sorted.
Yeah, we're back. I'm not sure what happened there. I was talking. I was like, man, why is Gary cutting me off and everything? I was like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to sit back. I checked TeamSpeak. I'm not keying up. So we're back. No worries. But we're watching here. All these pit stops starting to occur. We're inside the pit road, or you don't have to come down again. So, but another big question mark, and Gary, I don't want to see it. It's Pocono. We could have 4 green-white checkers here. So you might be good to go to lap 85, but you're not going to be good to go to lap 100. So that opens everything up if we get another late race caution. I mean, we saw one halfway. After our first round of pit stops, the field was supposedly all spread out. We could get that again here at this tail end of the race as well, as we're coming to 21 laps to go here momentarily.
And some of these drivers are coming to lap number 25 of their run as well. Alan Fox is back on the lap, actually. He's up in 5th now. He is just appearing everywhere on the leaderboard somehow, and he's up in 5th, and he's actually the only driver to have the most laps on a stint for this run, at least. Lap number 27 of his, as compared to all the rest of the top 6, in a sense, being lap 25 of their run. So Alan Fox actually may have saved just a little bit more, enough to make it to this. So may have sacrificed possibly a little bit of track position, as he's all the way in turn 2 versus John Sterling entering turn number 3. So doesn't seem like a lot, but on this track it's definitely a lot. Sterling's going to pit road.
Yep, Sterling, I can hear him kicking it down there, trying to keep it down in 3 and 4 without that banking there, man. It's so hard to make sure you're lined up for pit road. He's in there, he's all good, and it looks like Sterling's bringing it down, and maybe Ed Morris gonna follow. Yep.
Alan Fox and Bobby Tench as well, so pretty much everyone else that hasn't pit yet. It looks to be, everyone seems to be A-OK on their pit entry, at least for pit stall entry and pit entry as well, so both of which are important. And I believe, actually no, Tommy Haynes is the only driver that has yet to pit actually, so he's actually still on the racetrack. Didn't see that until that cycled through. And Steve might be having a little bit of issues again with his microphone.
No, I'm still here. I'm just watching these guys come off pit road. I was letting you go at it there. Tommy Haynes and everybody doing their cycle. John Sterling, Ed Morris both get off clean. So here, I mean, we're getting set for this final run of the race, and when things cycle out, this will really be telling of what we've got to watch for. If we get maybe a group of 2 or 3 drivers, maybe from like 3rd on back to like 6th or 7th, if they stay together and they work together, they could very well chase down those leaders a little bit. But if they start to battle, we've already seen that, they could easily lose half a second per lap. So there's just so many variables here at Pocono, especially with these green flag stops in this new package. It used to be you could come down whenever you wanted, especially if you were fast. If you knew you were fast and you were 4th or 5th and you wanted to come down a lap or 2 early, no problem. I'm not even going to second guess it. But now with this new package, you just can't do that. You have to have some other guys come down with you. So I'm watching right now. The biggest thing that we've got to watch out for on the track is cautions that'll sneak up from drivers with new tires passing drivers with old tires.
Yeah, for some of these drivers, say John Sterling and, well, in this case, John Sterling, he's approaching David Elliott and it looks to be Bryce Senesag, both of which are 4 laps and 5 laps on the stint. David Elliott at 4, Bryce Senesag at 5, after one at the start-finish line. There goes Sterling, maybe to the outside. He's definitely caught up. He's definitely got the higher speed, but absolutely nowhere to go. He could make it 3 wide, and he's definitely a little bit impatient, trying to just push Senesag, saying, hey, I'm on fresher tires. Please move out of the way as soon as possible. That's the downside, though, to these drivers battling side by side. Senesag moving a little bit lower, and no, not going to work for John Sterling again, so he's still stuck behind both of these 2 drivers.
And while all that's happening, I just go back, I take a look right now with our leader, David Weishart. He's just... he's been setting the fastest laps of the race these last 2 laps with these new tires. Absolutely incredible. His qualifying time wasn't even as fast. He ran a 51.750 just a couple of laps ago. So right now, David Elliott in that number 33, or David Weishart, excuse me, in that number 33 machine, absolutely putting it down on the track here at Pocono, doing an absolute incredible job. And with that said, though, just a slight kiss to the outside wall, kiss that all goodbye, so we'll keep our eyes on him here. But right now, he's got a demanding lead as we're 70 laps in it almost, and I think he's led every single one of them aside from maybe 1 or 2 when we were off cycle.
And as we see everything with P8 and now possibly going to switch over to P9 at this point, because 3 wide for, oh, that's okay, that almost did not work. Man, talk about... That was, okay, I don't even know what to say for that one, but that was great avoidance by pretty much everybody there. The 42 of David Elliott moves up the racetrack at the last second to avoid that little 3 wide situation heading into turn number 2. So that was Darren Clement that was just closing the gap and just firing up on all cylinders. That was the same with John Sterling, who we saw, and Ed Morris, who actually had passed by a little bit a while ago in the tow of that number 7 machine, or in tow of that number 3 machine. Just the 3-lap difference essentially is just so large, and we can clearly see that with these, how quickly these drivers catch up and pass the other ones, especially even with the draft. And well, with Darren Clement's pass, that completely broke up the battle between David Elliott and Bryce Senesag, so they're both 11th and 12th place respectively.
Yeah, and taking a look right now for third and fourth between Rob Haynes and Michael Mueller. These are spots that are going to be contested for points between the two of them. Michael Mueller, he's currently tied with Rob Haynes in the point standings. And look at him right now, giving him a shove down the front straightaway.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a seldom move trying to say, hey, you know what, I'm pretty sure you need more speed even though you don't, so let's see what happens. But at the same time, that can definitely help out somebody who's behind. So in this case, this could help out Mueller with the 29 because I'm pretty sure Mueller does not want to really make the move too soon, but doesn't really want to slow down as much as well, so he settles for bump drafting, and the straightaways here are definitely long enough to do so.
Well, and I tell you what, a couple weeks ago, I thought I'd seen it all at this point. You know, I've been on iRacing for 6-7 years. Well, we had bump drafting, legit two-car tangos at Kansas Speedway. So, I mean, it's not out of the question here in this new package for trying to work together and trying to move up. So we'll have to see. That last time by, though, they did not close down any time on David Weishart. So, bump drafting or not, I don't think the two of them are going to be going too far.
Yeah, they may not be going too far unless... maybe not, I was about to say. Unless something would happen to Scottless Rambler, but I think the 29 of Haynes had a little bit of a higher exit than necessary, and yeah, there goes Mueller down to the inside. I'm pretty sure he's tired of waiting, saying, well, you know what? You have fun with that. I'm going to take third place now, so... We'll see what happens with this as a crossover attempt as possible. Returning the favor is going to be Rob Haynes, almost touching the back bumper of that number 27 machine, but at this point that did slow them up about 2 to 3 tenths, maybe even 4 tenths of a second, because I was looking at the gap between Mueller and Rambler, in this case third place, and at second place it has extended a little bit, so that may have been a little bit of a disadvantage for the 27 of Mueller.
Just watching right now, the 29's really struggling there, trying to keep that car within the range, but also not have to deal with the aero tightness that these cars have. So he's doing what he can right now in that fourth spot, but really just there's only so much you can do about it here. As David Weishart, again, 5 seconds separates Weishart and Rambler between first and second. Absolutely huge gap here at Pocono. And we'll just have to see. If we get a caution, of course, that changes everything. But at this point, a field's so spread out. I mean, shoot, the 10th car in line right now. So that's going to be Darren Clement. He's 14.2 seconds back from the leader.
And as, especially for this track is... I think I've raced this track maybe once or twice. I honestly cannot remember, but I know this track is... Yeah, I know I've raced this track before. It sucks. So, in the sense of the length, because the length of this track, it feels like these laps take forever, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It just depends on where you are in the race. So, personally, as a driver, this track is definitely fun at its points, and that's especially with, say, Tyler Hallman trying to make a pass on the inside of turn number 2. Eisenhower didn't work too well, and then there's the low points where, well, turn number 2 again, in a sense. You have the apron, you go a little bit too low, and well, next thing you know, a little bit of banking just upsets the left sides and the right sides. It doesn't work out too well, and you're going to find yourself either loose or definitely losing a lot of momentum. So, last track is incredibly long. You go to, again, like you mentioned, Darlington next week, completely different. You're running the top side right next to each other, right next to the wall as well. It's the pretty much the length of your usual oval as well.
Yeah, just taking a look around the field, there's really not a whole lot of battling going on. A couple updates for you guys. Travis Pryor, with the significant damage he had, he pulled it behind the wall. Jay Pryor did as well. Richie Evans actually came back into the server. He ran a couple of laps alongside, I do believe, Mike Rominger to pick up a couple of spots there. But aside from that, Jay Pryor, of course, out. Joshua Gillen and Randy Perdue, they're the other drivers out. So we've got 16 cars right now on the lead lap, and then it looks like about 18 cars on the track at the moment. And we'll update you guys. Actually going to take you 17 cars with Nick Hunt there being the last car, 3 laps down after having some technical difficulties a little bit earlier on.
And right now, someone who's definitely not having difficulty is Holman. He's just been sitting up here, and pretty much the outside of the top 5 for a very long time. Crossover expected from Eisenhower, and he's barely got it just now. I know if that could have been, that was close enough as it was. That would have been even worse if Eisenhower just had at least a foot or two on Hallman's quarter panel. So definitely very close moment, and I think Rob Haynes also had a little bit of a close moment as well. Same with Michael Mueller off of turn number 2. I'm not sure. No, it's just a very slow exit for the number 27, and it looks like Rob Haynes is just getting the momentum, but unfortunately falling back as we have 9 laps to go this time around. This track is just, oh man, it's still the 14, almost 15 seconds now between David Weishart and Darren Clement. That just shows how large this track is, and personally, I think it's pretty fun, especially with the draft. You get to have fun with the draft, but at the same time, I've always had the low points of this track, so it does have its fun points, however. But right now, someone who's possibly not having too much fun, wait, no, maybe I spoke too soon because Rambler got a little bit of a slow exit. I was about to say Rob Haynes may not be having a lot of fun because he's starting to lose the draft between himself and Mueller. Well, right now it's a little bit of a different story.
Well, yeah, I'm looking at that. You said that, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, I don't know, Gary. I see the 29 right on the 27 there. The 27 and Mueller got a little bit loose. They're coming off, I think it was turn 2, and now they're back to it, bumper to bumper. And I tell you, I almost bet what the 29's doing. He's saving his tires there behind Mueller, letting Mueller do all the hard work. As soon as they get the Rambler, they pick those spots up. That 29 machine's going to try to shuffle that 27 behind Rambler, and he's going to try to clear him himself. And that right there will move him to the points lead because the driver that he's pushing right now, he's tied with in the points. And that is the biggest storyline of the night, is with these drivers that are in the chase. So many of them are so tight that every single position here at Pocono is going to count. I mean, right now, Alan Fox, he's the third guy in line right now in the point standings. He's running way back in the field. He's back in 13th or 14th, I do believe. So move him back. David Weishart, our leader, he's the 4th car in line, and those spots that he's picking up being in the lead, that's going to propel him probably to the top spot because he's going to have most lead laps, excuse me, and he's been out there all race long. So all these storylines with the points are playing out, and we're only our 2nd race into the 5-race chase.
Yeah, it's just a whole lot to think about in a sense, but right now I think Rob Haynes may just be waiting for Mueller to make a little bit of a mistake, and he almost did the last time around, and this time he stays well clear above that yellow. Oh, okay, that was a little bit too close for comfort off of turn number 2 for me, and I'm not even driving that, but Haynes was insanely close to that outside wall there, and somehow just manages to keep it off. And right now, it's only, think about, this is also something that's pretty interesting. If anyone's a little bit of a manufacturer fanatic, well, you have 3 Ford Mustangs in the top 5, and then the only other manufacturer in the top 5 is Chevy in 1st and 5th, and the entire rest of the racetrack. So it's 2nd, 3rd, and 4th actually for Ford Mustang. So very interesting to see as 27 gets a little bit loose on turn number 1. It's very interesting to see that the Fords are still managing to be very competitive here in the midst of pretty much every single Camaro ever made, it seems. Looking at these lines that the drivers are running through turn number 2, more specifically 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, I saw the 27, or the 57 rather, get a little bit of piece of that yellow line. The 29 as well got a piece of that yellow line, and they're managing to hang on for the time being, and I believe they're slowly catching up. Both Mueller and Haynes, they're slowly catching up to Scottless Rambler as we are on 5 laps to go.
Yeah, and as we're 5 laps to go, I'm taking a look around. Really, the only other battle that I've got my eyes on, I've got 2 different small battles between Adam Eisenhower and the number 7 machine of Ed Morris. Now, Ed Morris and Eisenhower, again, these are drivers that they're racing for. Ed Morris, specifically, he's 5th in line. He wants to get around this 86 machine of Eisenhower, and it looks like he's going to dive it down to the inside. And that's good. This is a chase spot for the number 7 machine. He's going to try to pass him. He's down to the inside. Looks like he's going to be able to clear him there in that Primetime Motorsports machine. So move him up another spot. And then taking a look a little bit further back with Tommy Haynes and David Elliott, they're 11th and 12th. And they're back there battling. They've got Nick Hunt in the mix, who's 3 laps down. That 00 machine absolutely heartbroken here tonight. For him, he was the first car outside of the chase, and now here tonight at Pocono, the cards have not fallen where they needed to, and it looks like now the number 17 machine is going to be able to pull away a little bit of David Elliott there, and he's got Nick Hunt as a buffer, of course, so Tommy Haynes right now trying to set his sights to Jerry Glenn in the 10th position, but that number 98 machine's almost 2 seconds ahead, so I don't think it's going to happen. So with that, I turn my eyes back up inside the top 5.
Okay, that was almost good timing because the 29 had just gotten another piece of the apron. Yep, just enough, at least on the yellow line, to slide up and, oh my goodness, he nearly nailed the safer barrier off of turn number 2. Maybe at least, I'd say, probably about half a foot between himself and that outside wall off of turn number 2. So, I've heard about running a wall, but this is a little bit ridiculous. That is, too close for comfort even for me. That is, I've said before with, I believe, even Rob Haynes a little bit earlier, but either way, Michael Mueller seems to be pulling away from that number 29 machine for the time being, and it's now basically even distance between himself, between Mueller, Rambler, and Haynes, which is maybe about 0.6 or so seconds, but it's a little bit larger gap between Mueller and Rambler.
Well, here, as we're running out of laps for Weishart, I cannot explain how impressed I have been with David's performance here tonight. To be the leader for probably, I think, about 79 or 80 laps of this 85-lap race, he's got a 7-second gap on second place, and this is exactly what Weishart needed going into the next race to set himself up for the next race in the chase as we're coming down. Next race is technically the halfway point of the chase, so you've got these guys that might have struggled last week at Atlanta and now this week at Pocono, and David Weishart's going to be one of those guys that didn't struggle both weeks, and now he's in the chase contention for sure. And those other guys, they have a lot of ground to make up, Gary, but now the 33 and David Weishart's coming off turn 3. White flag is waving in the air, and he's going to be getting that white flag here momentarily. And that 33 machine has his eyes set on the checker.
And for a little bit of perspective, as Weishart crosses the start-finish line, Scott Rambler's pretty much just barely exiting turn number 3. So that gives a little bit of an idea of how large the gap is. And when Rambler was across the line, Weishart was just between the first and second cones in the braking zone of turn number 1. So with David Weishart, he has just shown complete and utter dominance here at this track, and triangle is not too tricky for the 33.
And taking a look through the rest of the field, I'm not seeing too many battles really for track position, if any. It's going to be Rambler. He's got a comfortable gap there for second. Then Mueller has a comfortable gap for third, and Rob Haynes, same story for him in fourth. So David Weishart now coming off of turn 3 here at the tricky triangle, down the long front straightaway. The 33 machine of David Weishart crosses the stripe after a dominating performance here at Pocono Raceway. He's going to be getting the victory here, followed by Scottless Rambler for second. And now coming across the stripe for thirds, Michael Mueller, followed by Rob Haynes. And then Tyler Hallman's got a little bit of competition. He's got the 3 machine of John Sterling. Big comeback for that number 3 machine. But it looks like it's going to be the 52 coming away with that 5th spot. So what a race for this top 5. We saw a little bit of everything, Gary, as these drivers are coming away, coming across the stripe. Notables I'm seeing tonight. We saw Bryce Senesac. He started in 4th. He fell back to 13th. And then Alan Fox, another chase driver, he's going to be back there in 14th. So as the official standings come on in, We'll be ready to cover that for you here in a moment. We're going to step away for just a moment. When we come back, we've got post-race interviews and coverage here live from Pocono Raceway. Don't go away. LSR TV will be right back here on the iRacing Esports Network within a couple moments. Atlas Rambler came away in second, a whole 7.5 seconds behind him, followed by Michael Mueller. Then Rob Haynes and Tyler Holman rounded out your top 5. And then John Sterling, big comeback on the day, started 19th, and he's going to be coming away with 6th, followed by Ed Morris. Then Adam Eisenhower, Darren Clement, and then the number 98 machine of Jerry Glenn to round out the top 10. Over to you, Gary.
Tom Haynes finishes in 11th place. David Elliott finishes 12th. Bryce Senesac comes home in position number 13. Alan Fox, who is up and down the field, finishes 14th, unfortunately for him, but still manages to finish on the lead lap, such as well as Gary May and Bobby Tench, who finished 15th and 16th, respectively. Nick Hunt in the 00 manages to take it home in P number 17, 3 laps down. And then we have Mike Rominger, Travis Pryor, and Richie Evans, 18th, 19th, and 20th, not being able to finish this race, along with Jay Pryor in 21st, Joshua Gillen in 22nd, and 23rd, Randy Perdue.
And that has been a look at the FEG full race results here. FEG PC has been serving the iRacing community with custom-built, affordable computers specifically built and tuned for iRacing, so that means your PC comes straight to your doorstep with everything that you need preloaded, so as soon as you get it out of the box and hooked up, you are good to go racing. Get yours today and join the 600 plus iRacers already enjoying an FEG PC with PCs to fit every budget from $540 and up. Visit fegpc.net and mention code LSRTV10 to get your build quoted today. Now, with that in mind, the sponsors out of the way, it's time to talk to our race winner, David Weishart. I think, Gary, it is time. We'll see if we can steal a couple minutes of David Weishart's time. I'm down here in Victory Lane with him. I'm getting the champagne, the Gatorade, the Monster. It's all getting spilled on me. David Weishart, talk about your night.
It was pretty smooth sailing, really. We only had the one caution, and that concerned me because I had like almost a 6-second lead, and that pretty much erased it. And pit road made me nervous there, and we were able to get out in the lead there and out of pit road, and then the restart really was I was just trying hard to break the draft. I just didn't want them to get a big run. And throughout practice with all my teammates, I was the same. I was just as fast as anybody else in turns 1 and turns 3. But my saving grace was the tunnel turn. I don't know what I was doing different than everybody else, but it just seemed like every time I went through the tunnel turn, it was just an easy 2-3 tenths. So I was able to. That's how I was able to just kind of gap everybody. And when I gapped them through the tunnel turn, I could maintain through 3, and it would kind of nullify the run they would get down the front straightaway. So other than that, I mean, it was just really just trying to keep it out of the wall that last run. I just did not want to screw that up.
Well, yeah, this is one of those tracks, especially coming off turn 3. You get that one wrong, and you're slow all the way down the front straightaway. But here, with this being the second race of the chase, how does this set you up for next week going into Darlington, the Lady in Black?
Well, I mean, there's really not a lot you can take from this race and apply it to Darlington. But I did run a few test laps at Darlington. And with this new package, it's almost a wide open track. I mean, turns 1 and 2 is wide open, and you just kind of have to maybe tap the brake a little bit in 3, but you're on the gas for the most part. So it's a totally different Darlington than a lot of people are used to. So it's really and it's really narrow, and with this package, you got to be aggressive. So God only knows what's going to happen there. But I'm ready to go racing.
Well, and that's one of the things that I talked about a couple times here tonight. This whole season's been, you might get 1 or 2 tracks where they might be relatively similar in shape and size, but this chase especially, every single week we're going to something that changes it up. So before we head off to talk to our second place finisher here tonight, who do you have to thank for getting your victory here at Pocono Raceway?
I'm going to thank Russ and Northern Capital for coming aboard this season and next season. It's good to have them on the car and get them to victory lane. I thank Ricmotech sponsoring the series. We appreciate that. Got to thank Rick and Extreme Motorsports 99 for putting this on, and thank my teammates, everybody at Samson Motorsports, everybody that drives, spots, everything. So, I'm already ready to go to Darlington.
I hear you. I like Darlington myself, so if it's a track you like, it's a fun place to be. But thanks for coming up here. I've got to go dry off. I've got all this Gatorade on me, but I think Gary's catching up with our second place finisher on pit road.
Thanks, guys. Hopefully talk to y'all next week.
Congratulations to David Weishart on his third win this season, interestingly enough. But I'm definitely standing here with Scott List Rambler, who definitely showed a lot of momentum and very, very good speed, and just being able to really manage this track very well here at Pocono, finishing in second place and relatively just sitting there for a majority of this night.
Yeah, man. There was no touching David tonight. I don't know what he put in that car, but he was booking after like 4 to 5 laps and the tires started falling off. There was no catching him whatsoever.
Well, clearly it was all this knuckle fuel for sure, but that was definitely, it was impressive. But either way, he did manage to stay ahead of Michael Mueller, who finished in third. But I thought he was going to be closing in on you a little bit. He did occasionally, but at the same time, he managed to finish in that second place and somehow save those tires. So walk us through pretty much your race in general, along with the final run that we had.
Well, going through everything that went through the race there, got past Travis Pryor after he got into the wall a little bit, and from there it was just all trying to figure out what we had to do to catch David. Once we got through on that last round of pit stops, we were hoping that Rob, Mueller, and I could all get together and do a draft train and just catch up to them, but it seemed like I got out of the pits a lot better than they did, so we ended up with a big gap there, and we weren't able to work together like we tried. But pretty much every decision that we made tonight was just trying to run down that 33, man. He was gone.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting to see that kind of speed, but heading into Darlington for next week, a completely different track compared to Atlanta and tonight's track, Pocono. What are you looking ahead for at the Lady in Black?
Well, I feel like I'm going to do pretty well there. Really enjoyed doing a couple of practice sessions with the team there, so I feel like we're going to be fast there again. So hopefully we can get the entire team up to 1, 2, 3 again instead of 2, 3, and 4. But hey, it's a good points night for the team.
Definitely an amazing points night for sure. Before we go ahead and let you go celebrate your second place finish, who gets that? Who gets it done for you over there in that number 57?
The first out, I gotta give a shout out to Gary Wells. If you take a look at my paint scheme, the V Foundation for Cancer Research, his mother was recently diagnosed with a certain type of, I believe it's colon cancer. We've got her name on the passenger side of my car as well as on the ribbons on the side. We wanted to show him and his family as much support as we could throughout the remainder of the season. He's done a ton of stuff for the team and for me in general, especially being my spotter. So we wanted to show him that kind of support and be able to show everyone the kind of person that he is and the kind of person that his mother Stacy is. We hear so many good things about her. We want to support them and their family the entire way. We also have to thank Andrew Mraz, all my teammates at Downforce Motorsports, Ricmotech, 26 Productions, Neonism Games, SimSpeedShops.com, Doug Designs, and everybody at Extreme. It's been an absolutely incredible season.
It's definitely been a very exciting season, and I definitely look forward to see what happens next week at Darlington. So we will go ahead and let you go. Congratulations once again on your second place finish.
All right, thank you guys.
And we'll hand it over back to Steve, who was caught up with the 27 of Michael Mueller.
Yeah, I'm down here. I'm still not dry. I got all that Gatorade on me from Victory Lane, but I've caught up with Michael Mueller, man. You drove that number 27 car. You drove the wheels off it here tonight. You drove up through the field. Talk about what you had to do to get up there, man.
Kind of felt like I just had to use my tires pretty early there to get by everybody. I knew everybody was going to save a little bit, so I pushed it a little harder than I probably should have. Not very good at Pocono, so kind of had to use every advantage and trick in the book to try to get by everybody and survive the race.
Well, and I tell you what, we talked about it up in the booth, but when you're behind drivers here, you've got that aero push. I watched you multiple times here tonight. You really had to let off early to try to save those tires as much as you could. Talk about just dealing with the aero push in general. How different does the car drive with this new package compared to how it used to here at Pocono?
Oh, there's a big difference. I mean, the draft and, like you said, the aero push is huge. It feels like once you get within a half a second of somebody, going into a corner, the front end just pushes up the track. So you really got to time your lift points out proper. And if you do it right, you can always get a really good run on exit with the draft and try to make a pass. But running the new Pocono to the old Pocono, totally different, less bumps, a little smoother. And then, of course, the old package car to the new package car is night and day with the horsepower change.
Well, as we get ready to go to Darlington, we've got the rest of the chase all planned out. It's going to be a tight points battle, Michael. What are you going to have to do here as a driver? How do you get a step up on the competition when the competition's so tight?
Honestly, do a lot of practice. I mean, get with my guys, do a lot of practice every single week, get ready for these races. We'll do a lot of practice sessions, get ready for Darlington. I'm usually pretty good at Darlington, so hopefully go ahead and pull a win out on that one. We've been so close in the chase recently with second and now with third, so hopefully first place is on the ballot for next week. So we'll see. Just do a whole lot of practice and get ready.
Well, before we wrap it up here, who do you have to thank, Michael, for making it happen for you?
Next Level Racing, big time sponsor, put them on the hood. They're here with us, awesome group of guys. Go ahead and go to their page and go and check out their products. Norton Graphics are sponsoring my Xfinity car, Neonism Games, Sim Graphics, Ford Entertainment Group, Premier Private Car Services, Ricmotech for sponsoring the Cup Series, Sim Speed Shop, and Doug Designs. And you guys, obviously, you guys do a great job in the booth every week and make this really fun for us.
Well, we appreciate you down on the racetrack making it exciting for us as well. So thank you, Michael, for coming up here to chat with us. Congratulations on a solid finish. And next week at Darlington, we wish you the best of luck.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks so much.
And with that said, Gary, that pretty much wraps it up here at Pocono Raceway. We saw a little bit of everything here tonight. And we saw a lot of green flag pits, which is always refreshing to see. Looking ahead, I mean, we've got Darlington up next. It's going to be a really tight points battle. But here tonight, we're all wrapped up. We'll have to wait for the points to get calculated, but I guarantee the top three are going to be right on top of each other. So for everybody here at the LSR TV on iRacing Esports Network, for Gary, for Hugo, thanks for tuning in. It's been a great race. Next week, we go live, as we've mentioned a few times, from Darlington Raceway. That race and every race of the 2019 Ricmotech Cup Series can be found right here on LSR TV on the iRacing Esports Network. So until next time, good night and see you next time.